August 9th, 1941. The sky over northern France is a fractured tapestry of sun and smoke. Clouds streak like brushstrokes over fields scarred by artillery. Villages huddled beneath a shadow of war, somewhere above the rolling landscape. A Spitfire cuts through the wind, engine screaming, wings trembling from the strain of the battle. Its pilot pushes the limits of both machine and body, every movement precise, every thought a calculation of survival. The enemy is close. Messerschmitt BF 10-9s slice through the sky, grey silhouettes moving with deadly intent. One of them, flown by a seasoned Luftwaffe ace, has already claimed countless lives in the air, and now his eyes are locked on this lone British fighter. The chase is relentless. Bullets tear through the Spitfire's fuselage, smoke curling from its engine. The odds are unmistakably clear. The Spitfire will fall. Inside, the pilot fights not just for survival, but against a world that has tried to define his limits. Douglas Bader, missing both legs in a pre-war accident, fitted with prosthetics that rattle and strain under every manoeuvre, defies expectation he is airborne in spite of the loss that would have grounded any other man. Every twist of the throttle, every banking turn is a testament to willpower. To a mind that refuses to accept defeat, the BF 109 closes. The ace pulls his triggers. There is a violent spasm of bullets and metal, and the Spitfire shudders as holes appear in the wings, the tail, the fuselage. Smoke pours from the engine, flames licking the metal. Yet the pilot is unbroken. With prosthetic legs straining against rudders designed for flesh, Bader wrests the plane from a fatal dive, forcing it into a controlled crash landing in the French countryside. Dust and debris rise like spectres, and the world goes silent, save for the distant thunder of combat. From the German cockpit, the ace watches, stunned. The man in the wreckage is not like any other he has shot down. There is something almost impossible about this fighter, this soldier who dares to defy his own body, who fights with a courage that borders on recklessness. Curiosity replaces aggression for a fleeting moment. Who is this man? What kind of spirit allows him to fly, to fight, to live, when all logic would suggest he cannot? In that instant, history holds its breath. A decision hangs in the air, invisible yet heavy. The choice between vengeance and respect, between duty and a rare, unspoken humanity. One wrong move, and the pilot could die. One act of restraint, and a legend begins. For the Luftwaffe ace, every instinct screams to finish the mission, to claim another kill for the Reich. But as his eyes meet the crippled Spitfire on the ground, a shadow of doubt creeps in. The pilot, battered, bloody and broken in ways both visible and invisible, embodies a defiance no gun can conquer. He could end this now, and yet he does not. Douglas Bader was born in 1910, in the quiet suburbs of London, into a world untouched by the chaos that would later consume Europe. From a young age he displayed a relentless determination, a stubbornness of spirit that often clashed with authority, but earned him respect among peers. He excelled in sports, in discipline, in the kind of physicality that would later define his life, but fate would test him beyond the ordinary measures of courage. In December of 1931, a routine flying lesson changed everything. A terrible crash left him with both legs broken so severely that amputation was unavoidable. Doctors warned him he would never fly again. He would never walk normally. For most, such a verdict would have ended ambition. For Bader, it was a challenge, a line drawn that he refused to accept. Prosthetic legs were fashioned from steel and leather, clumsy, rigid, and unyielding, yet he learned to walk again, and then, astonishingly, to run, to soar. By 1939, when Europe teetered on the brink of war, Bader was no longer merely a man who had survived tragedy. He was a pilot, a fighter in the Royal Air Force, defined by audacity, by precision, and by a refusal to be constrained by circumstance. His colleagues spoke of him with a mix of admiration and incredulity. He would push a Spitfire past its limits, twist and roll with a fluidity that belied his prosthetic legs. In the cockpit, his body seemed to disappear, leaving only a mind honed for strategy and instinct sharpened by necessity. But it was not only skill that defined him. Bader's moral compass was equally formidable. He believed in fairness in combat, in honour among soldiers, even as Europe descended into brutality. He understood the value of life, of courage, and of restraint. In an era when war demanded cruelty, he carried within him a code, a quiet insistence that humanity, however strained, could persist. The men who flew beside him felt it immediately. He inspired fear in the enemy, loyalty in comrades, and a sense of inevitability in those who witnessed his aerial daring. But what truly set Bader apart was his refusal to see limitation as defeat. The loss of his legs did not define the man, his choices did. In the skies above France, the fields below, and the villages caught between two armies, he became a symbol of defiance, proof that courage could transcend physical boundaries. Yet even in his defiance, there was vulnerability. He knew the risks. He knew that one miscalculation, one burst of enemy fire could end him instantly. The same courage that propelled him forward also demanded a reckoning. How far would he go to survive, to fight, to honour his own code? And more importantly, how would others see him, not just as a pilot, but as a man? It was this combination of skill, determination, and moral clarity that brought him face to face with a German ace over the French countryside. It was not chance alone that guided him into that battle, but a lifetime of preparation, of choices made against odds, of a relentless refusal to accept the impossible. When the Spitfire fell, when smoke and fire consumed the cockpit, it was not merely a plane crashing. It was the embodiment of a man tested by history, by fate, and by war itself. It was early morning over the skies of northern France. Sunlight glinted off the green patchwork of fields, rivers threading like silver through the countryside. The RAF had launched a series of patrols to intercept Luftwaffe reconnaissance flights, a small yet crucial thread in a vast tapestry of war. Among them, Douglas Bader's Spitfire cut through the air with precision, the engine a growl beneath the roar of the wind. Every pilot understood the fragility of life in these skies. One misjudgment, one misfire, and death was inevitable. The Germans were swift, disciplined, and ruthless. Messerschmitt Bf 109s streaked like predatory hawks, engines shrieking, guns primed. Adolf Galland's wingmen were among the most experienced in the Luftwaffe, veterans of countless sorties. They had perfected the art of aerial dominance, their eyes trained to spot a lone fighter from miles away today. Their hunt brought them into contact with Bader, a pilot who, unknown to them at first, would test every assumption they held about courage, skill, and human will. The Spitfire darted and weaved, a blur against the morning sky. Bader's prosthetic legs rattled against the rudder pedals, but his control was absolute. Each turn was calculated, each dive a measure of survival. His aircraft bore the scars of previous engagements, minor dents, scratches, evidence of battles survived. Yet this fight was unlike any other. The Messerschmitts descended in formation, engines screaming, tracer rounds spitting through the air. The dance of predator and prey unfolded with terrifying elegance. Bullets tore into metal. The Spitfire shuddered under the impact, smoke curling from the engine compartment. Bader fought to maintain altitude, to keep the plane responsive, to avoid the spiral that meant death. Below, the French countryside stretched, innocent and unknowing, villages still intact, fields untouched by shell fire. Above, the sky was a battlefield where every movement mattered, where human skill met mechanical might in brutal harmony. The German ace closed in, eyes narrowing. From his cockpit, the Spitfire looked ordinary until he saw the man inside. He could not yet know of the prosthetics, but there was something different about the way the plane moved, the almost unnatural resilience it displayed. This pilot was extraordinary. The bullets tore through the fuselage, wings trembling, control surfaces buckling, yet the Spitfire held stubbornly, defiantly. Bader's maneuvers became increasingly desperate. Tight rolls, sharp dives, sudden climbs, each one pushing the aircraft to its absolute limits. Every second risked catastrophic failure. And yet, there was method in the chaos. He sought not only survival, but to give his comrades time, to protect the patrol, to honour the code he had lived by since losing his legs. The German ace adjusted, anticipating, calculating the tension between them, stretching with every heartbeat, every engine note, every breath of wind. Finally the inevitable came, the Spitfire, vulnerable from earlier damage, could not outmaneuver the Bf-109 entirely. One well-aimed burst tore through the airframe, the engine coughing, smoke pouring. Bader wrested the plane down, forcing it into a crash landing in an open field. Dust rose, the wings buckled, the tail collapsed. Silence descended, broken only by the distant echo of combat. From above, the German ace watched, a strange mixture of admiration and disbelief taking hold. On the ground, Douglas Bader emerged from the wreckage, bruised, exhausted, prosthetic legs awkward beneath him. The man who had just survived impossible odds now faced another test. The humans watching him from the skies, the ones who could end him in an instant, were approaching. The battlefield had shifted from aircraft and altitude to something older, something moral. The German ace now had a choice that would echo through history. The German ace descended, wheels and landing gear retracting smoothly, the Bf-109 slicing through the thin morning air with precision. Below, Douglas Bader sat in the wreckage, smoke curling around him, hands gripping his prosthetic legs as if to steady himself against a fate he could not control. The silence of the field was deafening, broken only by the distant roar of engines retreating, the soft whisper of wind over broken grass, every second stretched, heavy with consequence. The Luftwaffe pilot slowed, circling above, his eyes locked on the British fighter he had trained for this moment countless times. To claim another enemy aircraft, to secure another victory for the Reich. He had chased, targeted, and destroyed men in the sky with ruthless efficiency. Yet now, in that quiet field, he saw something that made the usual rules of war falter. This man, sitting amid the twisted metal of his Spitfire, had no legs. The thought struck him with the force of revelation. This was not just a soldier. This was a human spirit unbroken, defiant against fate itself. Galland's instincts battled with conscience. Every fibre of military training screamed to finish the mission, to strike without hesitation. But something in him hesitated. The figure below did not flee. He did not surrender in fear. He sat upright, wounded but resolute, prosthetics trembling with effort, eyes locked upward in defiance and calm. In that moment, the German pilot glimpsed something forbidden yet undeniable: respect. Humanity beyond orders, courage beyond necessity. He could fire. He could claim another tally. Death would be simple, unambiguous, final. Yet he did not. He banked away, leaving the man alive, his Spitfire smoking but intact, a symbol of indomitable will. No orders, no witness but the sky and the distant earth below would record this choice. Yet it was a decision that would echo far beyond the fields of France, a testament to the possibility of honour in a war designed to erase it. Bader remained still, breathing heavily, unsure at first if the enemy had really spared him. Around them, the landscape seemed suspended, a fragile bridge between chaos and compassion. The Germans landed nearby, and with caution approached the pilot, weapons ready, yet tempered by the invisible acknowledgement of his courage. They would take him prisoner, yes, as the war demanded, but they would not take his life, and in that act, the rigid structures of conflict bent, allowing space for the human heart. The encounter became legend not for explosions, nor for the numbers of kills tallied in cold logs, but for the quiet, profound affirmation of humanity. A man who had been written off by fate, whose body was broken, whose survival seemed improbable, was allowed to live by the recognition of character, by a moral courage as rare as any in the skies. The German ace, by sparing Bader, did more than show mercy. He revealed a truth often buried in history's annals, that even amid total war conscience could survive. Douglas Bader would go on to spend years as a prisoner of war. Yet the memory of that moment, of being spared by a skilled enemy who recognized his courage, would stay with him forever. And Adolf Galland, decades later, would come to understand that in that single choice, he had asserted the possibility of honour in a world defined by destruction. The field in France, once a site of potential death, became the stage for a moral victory that neither bullets nor bombs could erase. In the stillness of that day, amidst smoke and twisted metal, both men glimpsed a shared truth. Courage and compassion could coexist, even in the sky of war, even when orders and ideology demanded otherwise. And from that day forward, A quiet bond, forged in the crucible of conflict, would endure across decades, a testament to the rare and luminous possibilities of human empathy.